The fact of the matter is, people may have a perception about who you are because of what you look like. One of the most important lessons that I have learned in my career is perception is the co-pilot to reality. How people perceive you will directly impact how they deal with you. Yes, the reality it can be that you are a very hard worker. The reality can be that you are super smart. But if people don't perceive you that way, it will impact how they engage with you in your career. Perceptions are key, but you don't have to worry that, oh, I can't worry about how people perceive me, or I can't control how people perceive me. Yes, you can. You can train people to think about you in the way that you want them to think about you. Remember that when people are talking about who you are, they describe you generally with adjectives. Oh, this person is super smart, or this person is a go-getter. This person is very perceptive. So ask yourself the question, if they're going to describe me in 3 words when I am not in that room, what 3 words do I want them to use? Do I want them to say that I'm a fast learner? Do I want them to say I'm extremely engaging? Do I want them to say I'm extremely personable? Generally, I would argue that you want people to perceive you in a way that is consistent with what is a superstar in your environment. So one of the questions that I like to tell people to ask when they are interviewing is, give me the profile of a superstar in this culture. How would you describe that person? Give me the profile of someone who's not perceived very well in this environment. Now that tells you about the negative perceptions that exist in that workplace. So if people say the superstars here are people who are extremely quantitative, somebody who is extremely detailed oriented, someone who is thoughtful or who has a lot of initiative, you might want to think about which of those adjectives are consistent with who you really are. Because I think the perception and the reality of who you are, you want there to be some type of integration. Hopefully you have chosen an environment where they value things that are consistent with who you really are. Now, the way that you train people to think about you in the way that you want them to think about you is that your behavior needs to be consistent. It needs to be consistent with those 3 adjectives. If you want them to think that you're detail-oriented, you should start talking about yourself in that environment. Oh, I'm very detail-oriented. I make sure that I dot all the I's. I check all the T's. Oh, I triple-check my work to make sure there are no typographical errors or there are no analytical errors. You want to make sure that when you're in that environment, you use these adjectives when you're talking about yourself. That also helps people to start thinking about you in that way. But your behavior must be consistent. You can't behave one way this week and completely in a different way the next week, because now people are not going to think about you in that way. So the perceptions matter. Now, the fact of the matter is, people may have a perception about who you are because of what you look like. Obviously, you can't control where they've been and how they think, but you can control once they have that engagement with you, you can control how they are thinking about you. Perceptions are so important because if I do not perceive that you are somebody who's detailed oriented, somebody who really understands the work, then I, by definition, will start to look at your work a little bit differently. If, on the other hand, I feel that you are a superstar, then I may not be very detailed when I go to look at your work, because I say, of course, that is right. Jessica always does a great job. So the perceptions matter because if I have a positive one, I engage with you differently. If I have a negative one, I engage with you differently. But more importantly, the power is in your hand to make sure that people perceive you in the way that you want them to perceive you. Go get them.